Hey, I'm Mike,
And I'm Matt.
and this is the show where we're going to discuss all things games, movies, TV shows, food, memes, you name it. And that show is called the Fandom Minutes.
And today we're going to be talking about Pokemon Sword and Shield. Okay, so I bought Pokemon Sword, and you bought
Shield.
and we've beaten the games, and so I think whenever we review games, we should do it like after we've beaten the full game, because I think you really kind of have to play through a whole game before you can really review it. I think
I agree with that. You can get a good kind of overview early on, but until you actually play that game, until you've made it through every step you possibly can, there's no real way of knowing, what lays in store for that game.
Yeah, and I've seen I know some people will do a review while playing the game, or like even IGN sometimes does we did this long review through gameplay, and I mean that's fine. I think it's fine to do a review through gameplay, but I think to really get the full gist of a review, you should do the whole aspect and kind of look at the fandom, not the fandom, but you know what I mean, the fans.
Yeah.
And look at kind of the problems they're having with the game and really take all that into account. And I think a lot of studios should do that.
So a good example is when the game first came out, I was very upset that there were a large number of Pokemon cut from the game.
Yeah.
Also, I should probably say we might be getting into some spoilers for anybody who hasn't played the game.
There might be some spoilers coming.
But so I was pretty upset there wasn't a lot of Pokemon, specifically some Gen 1 Pokemon that were my favorites. But other than that, I didn't really have anything negative about the game. But then once I played it, the fact that those other Pokemon weren't there really wasn't much of an issue, because there were so many other ones that came in that were able to kind of fill that
gap. Yeah.
And I mean, there's still some notable misses. Obviously, the other Gen 1 starters would have been nice to have, but
I think they're coming though.
They are coming.
So they are coming.
That new DLC coming out.
Yeah. So I was really nervous getting the game in the first place because I was seeing online that it was the B team that put the game together, and I was afraid they weren't going to bring their A game, being the B team. I was like, why didn't they put the A game on such a high-selling game? Well, they were putting their A team on a brand new game that hadn't even been developed. And with that being said, I was really impressed with what the B team brought to the game. There is still a lot of problems with it, and a lot of people were talking about all these glitching and errors and stuff, and I didn't see those in the game, really.
I really didn't either. I don't know if maybe they fixed it by the time I played it or what, but the only issue that I had was the fact that some of the character models were very much, rehashes of the same thing.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to see something a little new, a little different, but you really can't expect too much when you're trying to develop something new ahead of time. There's a lot of work that goes into that. So after a while, after playing through the game, the character models really didn't matter to me as much as the story to it. How did you feel about the story?
I kind of liked it. It was different. I wished we would have had a big bad guy. I liked that there wasn't a big bad guy, though, in the same sentence, because every game's had this big bad guy that wanted to take over the world or end the world or free every single Pokemon. Pretty much this crazy guy that wanted some out of reach idea. And this one was a lot more down to earth, because the chairman just wanted to save the planet, and he wasn't even necessarily a bad guy. He just went about it in a bad way.
Right, and I agree with that. I was a little disappointed by the Team Yell.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm biased to Team Rocket.
I am too. I love Team Rocket.
No team since then. I don't think there's been a team that, at least for me, has captured the same feeling that Team Rocket did for me.
Yeah, because they were so underhanded and secret about everything.
Right.
Whereas the other teams have been in your face doing stuff.
Exactly. The one other issue I had would be the rival. It's cool that they were friends and everything.
Yeah.
Been friends for a long time. That's cool. But he was very lackluster rival.
Yes.
There was not a
He
moment.
failed every single
There was
time.
not a moment where he even came close to beating me. And
No.
I'm not trying to brag about that or anything.
Yeah,
but
same here.
It was like he was set up to be
The failure. And like that was even in the dialogue that he was a failure.
Yeah, and I didn't really agree with that part of it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I feel like, I mean, these games, obviously there's a lot of skill that goes into building a competitive team.
Yeah.
And, playing through and trying to get certain, certain things done the way you want them done.
Right.
But overall, obviously Pokemon is first and foremost a children's game. And it was just not really on par with what they usually do as far as trying to build up a rival. Mm-hmm. And it just came off as like, I don't know, a way to be down on yourself.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. And I mean, I get it. And maybe that's the stereotype they were trying to catch, was people that are down on themselves, and let them know that, maybe there's other ways to path in their life, and he wasn't made for a Pokemon trainer. Maybe that was their whole basis for this character. I mean, I didn't personally like it either. It's not really what I wanted to see in a rival. I think they could have done it with another character than your rival. But, yeah, I think that's kind of where they wanted to go with that, is I think maybe they just wanted to show, that just because you're not good at one skill doesn't mean you can't be good at something else. Because at the very end of the end game, he redeems himself and wants to become a professor.
Right.
And so I think that was kind of like, hey, kids, if you suck at this, don't
roundabout way.
Yeah, in a roundabout way, drop that dream and catch another dream and keep going, and you'll find what your niche. And people have you have what you're good at. And
right.
Like Einstein said, if you judge a fish on how well they can climb a tree, you're gonna think it's an idiot, because they're not gonna climb a tree, but they're amazing at swimming. And so I always like going with that, that kind of mindset, when you're inspiring people. And so I'm glad that Hop ended up finding his way, and I love that character development. But I wish it wouldn't have been your rival, because your rival should be someone that is like at you constantly, trying to better you, instead of you trying to be like, yeah, it'll be okay, buddy, you got this.
Well, see, in previous games, I found myself, obviously there's an end game of becoming the champion,
Mm-hmm.
and all that. But in previous games, my primary build for my team
Mm-hmm.
was to defeat my rival, and knowing that at any moment he could potentially beat me.
Yeah.
Back in the red and blue era with Gary, or blue if you will.
Yeah, some of those were bad.
He was.
Yeah, he was tough.
There were times where I would reset my game because he beat my rear off.
Yeah, definitely.
But in this one, I actually found myself being very cocky when it came to my rival. He'd come up and be like, "All right,
yeah,
I'm gonna destroy you, kid."
Yeah, definitely.
But speaking of Hop, do you think that in this DLC, you think he's going to be a rival again in any way, or do you think he'll strictly be, how he was built up there in the end?
I would kind of prefer him to be not your rival. I think he's going to come back and be like, let's battle for old time's sake. I know they're going to throw that in there.
That's kind of probably
it's a giving, because that's all he did was like, oh, we haven't battled in 5 minutes. Let's do it again.
He was nice enough to heal your Pokemon.
He was, and which I'm not a big fan of that either, but because it makes the game too easy, I feel like it heals your Pokemon in this game way too much on that topic.
And I've kind of wondered ever since Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee,
Mm-hmm.
ever since they came out, I've always wondered if maybe they kind of dulled it down and made it easier for people who have never played before.
I think that's their plan.
Because the Switch being what it is and being a newer console,
Uh-huh.
you're going to get people that don't typically play handheld games.
Yeah.
That are buying a Switch and playing potentially their first Pokemon game ever.
Possibly, yeah.
So I wonder if that was why they did that.
And I did see some people on Reddit saying like, "Hey, this is my first Pokemon game, yada yada.
Right.
I love it." And some people even wanted. I think I saw one person that said they were going to go back and play the other ones now, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's Nintendo doing what they do best, and that's selling consoles, selling games,
Mm-hmm. Building
and
a fan base.
The fact that they're building a fan base for older content through newer content is is crazy. I mean, you see that with some games, but it's very rare. And for someone to want to go back and play
Older games,
Game Boy Advance, DS, early days of DS, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But good on them.
It's good to see you.
Another thing about these new games, one thing that I feel they did really good. I'm a big fan of the raid dens.
Yes. I like that they brought that kind of from Pokemon Go and added that multiplayer perspective. And I was so worried when it started. I was afraid it was going to be like Destiny, where you had to have a party of, like, say, 6, and you had to have those 6 friends to do it. But they didn't do that. They allowed matchmaking, and without matchmaking, dens it'd still be fun. But think of how hard it is to get 6 people together, all the time. It's annoying. That's why I don't do Destiny raids, is because I don't want to take the time to get to know these 6 people. Not that I, you know what I mean? Like,
you typically
just to do a raid
that are just not team players.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're right. It's just they're out for themselves, and I don't want to talk bad on gamers. We're gamers, but yes, you're right. For life. Some gamers, though, they're just out for themselves. They're just being selfish, and they want to get the coin. They want to get the best loot. They want to get the best Pokemon, and if you don't get it, that's on you. And I mean, I get that mindset. I mean, but it doesn't help if you're a team player and you can do team assist. Like, I work at Walmart and as a manager there, and there's a quote from Sam Walton. I'm here with all these quotes tonight, apparently, or today. There was, what was his quote? I'm probably going to butcher this, but it was something to the effect of, it's individuals don't win, teams do.
I like that.
And I thought that was a really great quote. And that's kind of the mindset of Walmart, is your team. And so say your department, this other person's department runs down and they're getting way behind. If you're ahead and you're done with whatever you're doing for, say, that moment or that hour, you can go over to that other department. They don't care. And you can go help that person catch up. And
nice.
So I like that. And I like that mindset about Walmart. But I'm saying, like, if you do that in gaming, you're gonna get to the goal faster than if you try to do it alone. Or if you're trying to power through this, like, dungeon on Zelda or whatever, some RPG. If you're trying to power through that dungeon, you're like, oh, I've got the best loot. I don't need these other players. Bring those other players in, even the weaker ones, because they're going to get better. And once they get better and they get to your level, guess how fast you guys are going to go through those dungeons?
So quick. So the only downside I have to the raid dens, I wish that they sent better NPCs in with you.
If you have to use the NPCs,
Soulrock
for the win.
How many
Soulrock.
times I go into a raid den, and I see somebody bring in a Magikarp or a what's the little donkey, Mudbray.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, really?
I'm seeing all over Reddit where they're talking about Soulrock because he does, like, I don't know, some move, I can't remember, but it's one of those moves that just and does absolutely nothing. No damage. Like, it just affects his defense, and then the giant Pokemon's just like, oh, bye-bye.
I would say probably the best one that they throw in there occasionally is when you get the occasional Clefairy or Clefable.
Those are nice.
And, it does something to kind of boost your stats. That's nice. But when I jump into a raid den and I lose it because the other NPCs have been knocked out 4 times, I don't feel that's fair. But like he said, it's more about getting in with a team, getting in with friends. If you're somebody that you've got a lot of friends that you like to play with, maybe you grew up with the TCG or whatever.
Right.
It's so much more fun with friends. Yes, there's things that could be done better with the game. It's not perfect. But as far as a Pokemon game goes, here in 2020, of course 2019 is when it was made, but a Pokemon game now, it is pretty good. What would you rate it as far as overall rating?
Overall, I mean, there's so many factors to take into, like, one thing that, one downside that I've noticed actual game problem is when you're just riding around on your bike, and you're connected to the internet. If you're not on the internet, it's fine. If you're on the internet, and people could just say, oh, it's just your internet's slow. Well, I've got pretty good internet. It's not amazing by any standards, but I mean, it's good. I'm not battling anyone on multiplayer. I'm not out there playing like Call of Duty, high frame rates. I'm just riding my bike on this game, and it will lag. Like, I'll go into an area, and it'll like sputter the bike, and then boom, go on. And so it'll lag, and that bothers me quite a bit because it happens a lot. And it's not a big thing. Like, I'm not gonna like really downplay the game or anything on that. So if I was going off of, say, the aesthetics of the game, the story of the game, the Pokemon in the game, I'm always, by the way, before I give out a rating, I always am praising whoever is designing these new generation of Pokemon. We've had some generations that I feel like the Pokemon were just very lackluster. I don't think they put much effort into the design, but this generation was Sun and Moon. That's a ways back. Sword and Shield, I feel like the Pokemon designs are way better. I mean, yes, we got an apple that was a dragon, but that's still pretty dope because it blends in to its surrounding as the apple, and it comes out and freaking attacks people. So even that is pretty cool.
So, every generation's got some that you look at and you're like, did you even really try?
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you've got, what is there now, 900 Pokemon?
A lot. Probably 9, I think, now.
You start to run out of options.
Ideas, yeah.
This
I
generation,
get that.
we have an apple, we have a hat.
Yeah.
There was a generation where we had a stomach.
Yep.
You get inanimate objects like a little teacup with a little ghost thing in it, and some of those designs may seem pretty lame or even pretty lazy.
Yeah.
But when you delve into the attacks, you delve into the story, the bio,
the background of the Pokemon.
You start to see kind of how cool they are and how much they benefit the area. They kind of blend into the area. They kind of they create this I don't know exactly how you'd word it, like an aesthetic for that area. When you think about what the Galar region is, and then you compare it to some of the like original ideas where they kind of got the idea from, and you think about what's there, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Certain things do, and so overall, I've been pretty satisfied with the different Pokemon.
Yeah, I am too. Like
they put into it. I'm very excited about the DLC.
Yeah. So before we go into the DLC, let's give it a rating before, and then we'll move into the DLC. So for just the base game, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I couldn't give it the 100% 10 rating. Like, blew me away. I give it a 9 simply because of really just there's just too many things that I just had problems with, but they weren't stuff that I really felt like, no, this is like...
They weren't game-breaking.
No, they weren't. So I give it a 90. Like, it's a solid A game. I continue to play it. I'm still enjoying it. I beat the game, and I'm still out there trying to beat the Pokédex. People are still shiny hunting left and right with this game. And I like that. Like, it's not dying out like a lot of games. Like, a lot of Pokemon games, they'll beat them, and then that'll be it. And this game is really... just staying on. I'm seeing people that are just still playing it and still playing it.
Me personally, I give it an 8 out of 10. The only reason that I say 8 instead of a 9, or even a 10, is because every generation from Gen 1 until now, my team has always consisted of all Gen 1 Pokemon. And that could be that I'm just biased towards Gen 1 because that's where I grew up with. But my team was always a Blastoise because Squirtle's number 1. So Blastoise, Charizard, Venusaur. Started with Pikachu. It's now the Alolan Raichu.
Same.
Gengar. I got a special bond with Gengar. It's just the coolest ghost type, I think.
It is.
Even to this day. Super OG. And then my 6th slot has kind of been bounced back and forth. Yeah. I think from now on it's actually going to be my Dreadnought.
Yeah.
Because there's not been a Pokemon since Blastoise that I've looked at and went, that is my Pokemon. That is my Pokemon. And Dreadnought is, for me, top tier in this game. And there were some Pokemon that made the cut that I'm just like, why?
Why? Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But overall, I was very satisfied with the game. On the topic of the DLC coming out, first thing I heard about it was new islands, new areas?
Yes, new islands.
And I was like, all right, that's cool. Further the story, maybe
definitely.
better the story a little bit. I feel like the way that the original game ended was kind of abrupt. And I joked around with a buddy at work about the potential of them making a DLC. Mm-hmm. And we're like, nah, it's Pokemon. They'll never do a DLC.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, they'll just come out with a whole new game. It'll be Pokemon Sword 2 and Pokemon Shield 2.
That's exactly what I thought.
I
think
hated
we
that
said
so
double
much.
sword and double shield.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, with the, with that story breaking, I was then sitting at work and I voiced my displeasure about the Pokemon being cut to my coworkers, and one of them turns to me the other day and says, hey, you heard about the new Pokemon, right? And I was like, yeah, I knew they were making DLC. He said, did you know they were adding in, was it 200 extra Pokemon with the first DLC?
Yep, and 200 with the
200
next.
with the next.
So 400 new Pokemon.
And I was like, oh my gosh, dude.
So that'll be 800 Pokemon in this game.
It should be pretty close to the full
set,
at that point. Which would be awesome because gotta catch them all.
Definitely. Dude, I can't wait. I've got to beat the Pokédex before this comes out.
But I tried not to get too excited, and I said, all right, sir, what's coming? What are we getting? And the first thing he says is Blastoise and Venusaur with their Dynomax.
Which is awesome.
I don't think I've ever fangirled so much in my life.
Yeah, so I'm not even a big fan of Blastoise or Venusaur, but I lost it on Blastoise's Dynomax. Like, it was so cool.
It reminded me of like a pirate ship with all the cannons on the side.
Yeah. I saw that, I was like, whoa, that's awesome.
But at that moment, I was like, okay, this is what I've been waiting for. This is the Pokemon game I have been waiting for. I always liked when a new game comes out, they always try to do something different. Mm. And, obviously on one side of things, it's always to increase their, the profits and all that. But from a fan side of it,
they aren't even charging that much. It's $30 for
it's
2
not
DLCs.
Bad at all. You get 2 DLCs for $30. Not bad.
And think about all the work they're putting in for this too.
The fact that they said that they would have to code in all these things and how they're actually getting them.
Yeah.
That is great news. I'm glad that that's happening. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
What's your most favorite thing you're hearing about so far?
I like the new Galar forums. I'm hoping to see more. I would like not just what the trailer showed, but I'd like to see more Galar forums.
Now, 3 of those specifically are the legendary birds.
Yes, they look
Zapdos,
amazing.
Moltres, Articuno.
So do we think they're getting an extra added type to them? Maybe dark type?
So I would assume there's probably going to be some type differences. Which I was thinking Articuno with them laser eyes.
Right.
Looks a little almost fairy or ghost type somehow.
I was thinking,
or psychic. Psychic.
I was thinking fairy or psychic. And then we've got Moltres, which is on his, or not Moltres, Zapdos, which is on his feet now.
He looks kind of like an electrified ostrich.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of like it.
I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I don't mind him being on his feet. Like, I feel like he's going to be fast. Like, agility is going to be his thing. So maybe fighting and electric?
I wonder if it's going to affect his weakness resistance kind of thing,
Nice, that would be cool.
Since he's no longer in the air.
Yeah.
Obviously, he'll still be flying type. But
yeah.
Just curious to see how they work that. It's interesting that they're choosing to do this with legendaries.
Yeah, because there's only supposed to be one Articuno, one Moltres, one.
That's exactly the point I made as well.
Yeah.
With the legendary Pokemon, obviously there's billions out there. Whoever plays the game, you have a chance to get one. But story-wise, there is supposed to only be one of each legendary Pokemon.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to find out if these are the same ones, or if they're finally introducing multiple versions of Pokemon, or if it's like an alternative timeline kind of thing. I don't know. Be interesting to find out for sure.
What if they got I think it's just Galar forms. I don't think it, but I was saying maybe corrupted or, well, no, because they're completely different. So it's not corrupted. It's like they're like a completely different species of that Pokemon.
And so, whatever Pokemon does with this game, or with this DLC, it definitely has to deliver.
Yeah. And I really feel like, just looking at the concept, I think it's going to. So I wish, I don't think they're going to necessarily go this route. I think it'll probably just be 2 DLCs and then probably a waiting period for the next game. But, so what Destiny did was whenever they brought out a Destiny game, the first game had a 5-year plan. I mean, right off the bat, they had the first 3 years planned out. And then after that went smoothly or, not smoothly or however it went, they rehashed out, the next couple of years and whatnot. They kind of planned while they went, they updated. But, so the first one had 5 years. It was out for 5 years, and then they made Destiny 2. 5 years, Destiny. Now, I'm not saying I want to wait another 5 years for Pokemon, but what I would like them to do is actually have a plan, like Bungie did. Whereas, okay, so we're going to come out with these 2 DLCs, and then we're going to come out with these 2 DLCs, and then we're going to come out with these 2 DLCs. Like, heck, 2 DLCs per year would be fine. And really, since you're already hitting those 400 more with just 2 DLCs, what they could do is add whatever extra Pokemon is needed at the very end there, and kind of hit those in with that another DLC, and then come out with a new Pokemon. But I would like to see this trend continue. Get a new Pokemon game, fresh, brand new Pokemon, and then not necessarily, they don't have to update the whole dex, I think, every time. But they could even do 100 at a time, just 100 per DLC, extra Pokemon. That way it gives them time, not only to get it all rendered and all the Pokemon ready for the next gen, for each game. They could slowly do that, slowly add them in, so that the players know that their favorites are coming back and they can look forward to that.
See, I kind of like that idea as well. I'm never a fan when a game cuts out certain characters. I'm a big fan of fighting games like Injustice, Super Smash Brothers, and just the thought of having a character that you loved and you played with since the very beginning, having that player cut out.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. Never have been.
In conclusion, are you a fan of the new Pokemon Sword? And then are you a fan of the new DLC?
So as far as the base game,
Yep.
From start to before the DLC, I'm definitely a fan.
Nice. I am for the base. I'm gonna say yeah, because we gave it a 9. I'm a fan too. I'm gonna definitely say that I'm a fan of the new Pokemon game. I think it's done nice for base. Okay, what about the DLC? What do you think?
For the DLC, one word, Blastoise. I'm a fan.
Okay, so on my part, I'm gonna break it up a little bit. DLC 1, DLC 2. So I really think they had to bring in some extra stuff for the DLC 2, which I think is when the birds come in. Because the first one's awesome. It's like freaking dojo, it's karate style Japanese, it looks awesome. The second one is a mountain, an icy mountain. And I was talking to my coworker about that, and they're like, oh, well, I hope I get the karate dojo and you get the mountain, because we were thinking Sword would get one and then Shield would get the other. Well, no, we both get it. And so we were super excited when we realized we both get it, and it's 2 DLCs. We thought it was 1 DLC, and they were gonna
one for each game.
Yeah, and they were gonna split it up. And she's like, "Wow, I hope you get the mountain and I don't." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't want the mountain." Well, which the mountain's fine, but compared to the dojo, that's super cool. So I'm guessing they did super cool aesthetics with the dojo, and then less cool Pokemon. And then I think when they have the Iceland, it'll be less cool aesthetics for the actual roaming around, but awesome Pokemon.
It's very possible. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
when that
so
first DLC comes out.
I'm definitely a fan of the first DLC, and I'm undecided on the second DLC simply because we've just had so many frozen mountains. It's okay. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Anything to sum it up?
Keep carrying on.